Papa John's founder, John Schnatter, is on the line with me. John, hello.
Hey, Terry.
Clearly, you're on the news everywhere. Let's talk about this explosive comment that you made on the conference call. You issued an apology. Do you realize the weight now of what's happened?
Oh yeah, I knew the weight before the rehearsal call. You can't use that kind of language. So, in fact, that's what makes me. I feel horrible about this and sick, because the reason you do a practice or a media training session is so you don't do something like this, and that's the whole the vocabulary and everything else is just not healthy.
You realize, though, that this causes pain for lots of people. I think that came on you once that was publicly revealed, but the apology that you have seems pretty quick. Is there anything you'd like to add to tell people who are offended by the use of that word?
Well, this is home. This is where we started, and it's Papa John's is all about the people, and the community and the university is all about the people. And anything that I say or do that it hurts, the folks that I care about, and Papa John's, the people at the team members, and of course franchisees who I love. Anything that I do in any way that harms them, it's upsetting, and it's not right, and I'm distraught over it. But it's what I want to make sure is we got the apology out, whether it's a rehearsal or training or whatever else. We don't condone racism in any way, and it doesn't, regardless of the context. You just can't use that kind of vocabulary, and that's why we're doing training, because most of the things I say will get turned and misconstrued. So you got to make sure that you don't put yourself in that position, and especially with something that's as sensitive as this subject.
The N-word is a nuclear bomb, though. You understand how that offends people of color, is my question.
Yeah, that's why I had the reaction I had with the agency. Believe it or not, Terry, the agency was promoting that vocabulary in that genre. And I made it real clear, listen, we're not going to go there. We're not going to talk about this. And they pushed me, and it upset me. And I just said, listen, other people have used that word. I don't and will not use that word, and people of Papa John's don't use that. And that was the comment. But they actually wanted to get into that vocabulary, and I said absolutely not. And of course, part of the comment where I said somebody else said it got printed in the part where I said I never say that, and I wouldn't say that, and that's not the way I was raised. That didn't get in it, but shame on me for even bringing it up. But the point is, you can't use that vocabulary. You can't use that word, and we will not, and I'm not going to, and I have not.
Are you saying that you were duped by the people who were running the training session into using that? And weren't they setting up scenarios to see how you would react in a volatile verbal situation?
Well, to your point, there was no prep, and there was no really. I didn't exactly know we were going to even talk about this, but I don't think they were near as sensitive to this as I was, and that's why I had to vector them off this subject and say, we're not going to do anything that even gets near this. And it's disappointing that they ran that comment to the news, but again, shame on me for not being a little bit more sensitive to something that's this sensitive.
But you think that word was induced out of you by them? Do you think there was a nefarious process in place, that this company that was supposedly helping you, working with you, was out to get you?
Let's put it this way. They're no longer our agency of record. And unbeknownst to me, before the training, they were let go as our media buyers. And so they were a little bit upset with Papa John's. before we went into the training session. So I don't like the whole dynamics of the way they went about the training and the preparation, and then then running the comments to Forbes. But again, Terry, I have to own this, and you can't talk like that, even if I'm provoked, and even if it's in media training. You can't. Even if I was saying what somebody else said, but you can't do that either. You just can't even touch that with with any kind of proximity. And I did, and it's caused a lot of grief for my community, for my university. My daughter finished at U of L. This is the fifth generation behind my brother and my uncles and my grandfather. And my wife graduated from U of L. My company, my employees are distraught. They're crushed. And it's all because I was sloppy and I wasn't as sensitive. It's the same mistake I made on the NFL comments. I made it real clear you got to do this in a way that satisfies the players, and that's what I said. But I think the tone was insensitive. You said, well, you were talking to analysts, and that's all they care about is the numbers. But it was an analyst call, but that doesn't matter.
You're talking about the NFL, though, when you're talking about the analysts, and that was, again, a white person not understanding the pain of people of color. The NFL comment is the way, obviously, most of America took that comment.
Yeah, absolutely. I was not sensitive to the circumstances and to how national this is. And again, I was talking to analysts, and they want to hear numbers when really I should have been sensitive about the folks that this could hurt. And I wasn't. And that's wasn't what I said that caused the problem. It's the tone in which I said it. If I had it over again, I might change what I said a little bit, but for sure I would change my tone and the sensitivity and know that I had potential to hurt people, and that was never, ever the point. The point was simply ask the question about, why sales are down, and I didn't handle it as well as I should have, frankly.
On the N-word situation, why didn't you, if you were going to say something outrageous like that, why wouldn't you have said, I think that Colonel Sanders used the N-word instead of actually saying the word?
Well, I was just talking the way that the Colonel talked. And again, shame on me. And it wasn't even done in the context of that's 40, 50, 60 years ago. Because even back then, again, the way I was raised, you don't talk that way. And my wife and I, we don't talk like that. And if I'm around somebody that talks like that, they're not around me for very long. So that's just the way the Colonel talked. And I did use it with him. And then, of course, I went back to the way that I would say it to you today. But that doesn't matter. I said it, and it's wrong, and it hurt people. That's the bottom line here. It's all about the people, and I hurt people. Whether it's intentional or not intentional, which, of course, it was unintentional, but I still hurt them, and I have to own that, and I have to apologize for that, period.
You noted that the marketing company, you got rid of them. They claim they got rid of you after you made that remark, so that's a point of contention. Nonetheless...
Now, well, the NFL also said they got rid of us, and we got rid of them. Trust me, when you're spending the kind of money, we're spending tens of millions of dollars with these folks, and they were bitter because they weren't doing a good job with it. And it wasn't myself that terminated it; it was the people in marketing that terminated it. But they had ill feelings because they wanted the business. So that's just not incorrect what they're saying.
The NFL says they fired you, but you're saying you fired the NFL. But the NFL picked up Pizza Hut, so. Does that roast you to have a competitor in a position where you used to be?
No, not at all. I mean, it's free markets, it's free enterprise, it's voluntary exchange, and we wish Pizza Hut and NFL the best. We are very glad to get out of the NFL relationship because we still get to sponsor some players, and we still get to sponsor some teams, and we still get to be part of the communities. but we don't want to do business with Roger Goodell, period. And I don't want to do business with Roger Goodell, and we've had enough success where we get to pick who we do business with. And Roger Goodell runs the NFL, and we made a decision to get a divorce, and we did.
Major League Baseball's backed away from the Papa Slams. What do you think about that?
I don't blame anybody for being upset with me or with Papa John's because of what they think that I said. If I thought I said what they think I said, I'd be upset too. And again, it was represented out of context, and it was training. It doesn't matter. I can't talk like that, even if it's confidential and it's behind closed doors, and they're trying to make sure that I don't do exactly what I did. And I did it, and I own it, and I'm sorry. And I'm sick about it, frankly.
Are you concerned that Yum Brands, the parent of KFC, has legal action against you for claiming that Colonel Sanders used that kind of language? Do we have it verified that's true, or is that something that you're speculating on?
No, I'm not speculating, but I'm not about to get into it with Yum, and I don't think they want to go down this road. But I wouldn't have never brought KFC or Yum into the conversation if Forbes hadn't picked it up and gone with it, and I was forced to say what was said. And comment was, Colonel Sanders uses the N-word. We're not going to use the N-word. I don't use the N-word. I never use the N-word, and people at Papa John's don't use the N-word. That's the comment, and I wish I hadn't said it.
But Forbes got the story after you said that. Forbes didn't induce you to say that. The training session is where that was. So do you have litigation that you could lodge against the training company for revealing that to the media?
A, I'm not an attorney, and B, I don't like litigation. I don't like lawyers. I don't like what they did. I think what they did hurt Papa John's and hurt my employees and hurt my small business owners, my franchisees. But that would be, remember, Terry, I've been out of Papa John's for 20 months and really slowed down about 18 months ago, and then turned the reins over to a different management team January 1st. And haven't shot a commercial for 10 months and haven't made a public statement about anything for 8 months. This is the first time I've talked to anybody anywhere about any of this. I resigned from the board of directors of the trustees yesterday, and we had a pact with Grissom wanted us not to talk. And we all made a pact that we would let Grissom be the spokesperson. But now that I'm not on the board of trustees, I can talk to you.
Indeed. You keep saying we in reference to Papa John's. If the members of the public are mad at you personally, are you telling them that you are still on the Papa John's team, or are you completely separated now so they can feel like they're buying from a company to which you're not connected?
Well, I'm connected as far as I own shares, but I'm not, and I sit on the board, but I'm not a chairman of the board. I'm not an officer. I'm not an executive. And I'm not an employee. As far as the customers, absolutely nobody at Papa John's did anything wrong but me. I mean, they should definitely be mad at me. They don't think I said what I said. They think I said something differently, but that doesn't matter. It came across and it hurt people, and I feel horrible. All I can do is say I'm sorry and just walk the talk and make sure that I'm even more careful about anything I do, which I'm real careful anyway, as you well know. But you just can't approach a sensitive issue like this and in any way get yourself in a position where you hurt a fellow human being, because it's all about the people. It's all about the community. It's all about the university. It's all about my team members at Papa John's and our small business owners, our franchisees. That's the heart and soul that wake up every day and make our company great. And I let them down. I hurt them, and I hurt my community. And I'm heartbroken over it, frankly.
We're talking to John Schnatter, the founder of Papa John's. Let's talk about the University of Louisville. You said you're no longer on the board there, so you're free to talk. What about the stadium naming rights? Some of the football players have expressed concern about playing in a place where they say that that's your name hanging on the building.
Well, there's the distinction between me and Papa John's, and again, I don't blame the players. If they thought I said what they think I said, I'd be upset with me too. I don't know where they're going to head with that. I've talked to Vince Tyra because we're actually giving some more money on some of the addition, and I'm working with Vince on doing something for the baseball program. As we speak, we met last week with baseball coach, and we met with Vince, and we're talking about that. But he and I talked last night, but the stadium naming did not come up. So stay tuned on that one. I don't know what they're going to end up doing with that.
You have personal money in on that, though, and that's what people are saying. The distinction is your personal money. You and Annette donated a lot of money, and the company did as well. So some people feel like they're bound together, and so that's your name on the stadium. But you obviously prefer to have Papa John's name remain on the stadium through the rest of the contract, which goes on some 22, 3, 4 more years.
Well, I think you got to look at all the great things that happened in athletics. Much of this to do with Tom Jurek, frankly. I mean, where that program was at when we got involved in '95, playing, as you remember, playing at the fairgrounds with a big crowd was 5,000 people. And so if you look at the job that Tom's done and you look where that program's come, it's nothing short of amazing, frankly. And we got to play a small part of that. And we got to sell pizzas out there. Of course, we had a concert out here a couple weeks ago. So we like being part of the community, and we like being part of the university, and we like being a part of the stadium. But I have not talked with anybody from Papa John's and with regards to this, and Vince Tyra. He and I have not talked about this.
Would you be willing to go and apologize to the football players at the University of Louisville, particularly football players of color, because of this comment that created this uproar?
Of course, I'd be glad to apologize. Not glad. I would be glad to have the opportunity to apologize. But, yes, I don't know if they would have me. But I have to, I don't condone racism. I don't condone prejudice in any way, whether it's gender or sexual preferences or heritage or nationality, and especially race. And so for them to think that I'm wired any other way, I think we need to clear the air, and I think I need to take the hit and apologize if they would let me apologize. I think they're so upset with me, I'm not sure they would let me. But, yes, of course I would apologize to them face-to-face.
You just threw a lot of bouquets at Tom Jurich, but a lot of people feel like you got Tom Jurich fired. So now you're separated from the board and David Grissom. Let's talk about this. Who fired Tom Jurich?
Well, unlike Patino was let go by the Athletic Association, which I don't sit on the Athletic Association board, and I had no contact with any of the members of that board. That was exclusive of the Board of Trustees, which I do sit on. So in the Tom Jurich case, I think that was two strong-headed guys. And Grissom and Jurich locked horns, and they're both strong-willed. And I think Grissom tried to sit down with Tom and work this out. In fact, I know he did. But I think the personalities are such, it's like two bulldozers wrestling. And then it became in front of the board, and that was a tough call for all of us. But under the circumstances, I think there were some violations and there were some personality clashes. I think Grissom made the call he made. It's hard to judge that call because Tom did so many wonderful things and got the program in such a good place. But I think Vince Tyra's done a great job too, Terry, and I think he'll take us to the next level. So I think we owe the foundation and where we got to Tom, and I think Vince and his team will take it to the next level. I really believe that. well, otherwise I wouldn't have recommended we hire Vince.
So when the board would go into the private sessions, though, you were not advocating for Tom Jurich and or Rick Pitino to be fired?
I can't talk about anything in closed session. It's against the law. I can tell you that I think Tom's tough, and you can get him. You can get him where you need to be. You just have to be patient. So, and I made that very clear that Tom is reasonable if you can just settle him down. But when Tom locks in, he's tough. I mean, he's tough. I mean, and that's what the very thing that I think hurt him in this situation was probably the thing that made him great with building these great facilities.
Rick Pitino, did you want him out?
I did. Rick. I flew Rick into town, as you all know. Rick stayed with me for 3 months, so we felt like the things he did was just really good for the program, and taking that program to the next level, and doing some of the things that Denny Crum did were fantastic. I think some of the things that came down at the end, it kind of hurt him, I think, with regards to the athletic board. But did I like the things he did? Absolutely. Did I not like some of the things that happened to the university? Yeah, absolutely. But it wasn't my call. And again, I did not talk to anybody on that EULA board to make that happen. I found out about his termination the next day. So that was not my jurisdiction.
Mike Sokolov, who writes for the New York Times, has contacted me many times over the months. He says that he'd heard from multiple people that you and Rick Pitino got into it multiple times, into arguments. Yes or no, John? Were you arguing with Rick at various times on other issues outside of basketball?
You're catching me a little off guard, but I can't ever remember having a disagreement with Rick. I hadn't seen Rick personally for probably a decade. He was going his way and I was going mine, but he and I never had words. He and I never had a disagreement. I did business with Rick in '95 at UK, so we have a long history of working together. And myself and Ned and the Papa John's family have just tried to really help athletics and play a small part in trying to make Louisville a special place for student athletes and world-class coaches. That's another thing you got to give credit to with Tom. I mean, look at the coaches that are in place. They're stupendous. And I think they like working for Vince, and I think they like working for Tom. Two different personalities, two different styles, but they seem to like them both.
But the weather changed somewhere, because you used to allow Rick or Tom to use your jet, for instance, on recruiting things. I remember that from years ago, and then that all changed. So something changed along the way.
Well, whether I agree with the financials with the Yum Center, my concern with that, it was going to be over budget, and the fans were going to have to pay too much for a cold beverage and a snack, and that was my concern with the arena, that it was going to be too expensive for folks that wake up every day and make this city great. So we gave I think millions of dollars. Well, I know millions of dollars to the Yum Center, and as you know, I voted against it strictly on the financials. I probably would have put it at the water company site just to hook to 4th Street Live and hook to the Marriott. But part of the fact I would have changed locations, I didn't like the numbers. I didn't think they were realistic. But with that being said, we still supported the Yum Center and wrote the check.
All right. Well, I appreciate all this time, but let's get to the end of this. You're waking up now. You're no longer the chairman of Papa John's, the baby you created. You're no longer on the University of Louisville Board of Trustees. What does your day look like? And I know how business obsessed you are. So where does John Schnatter go walking forward?
Well, my days are full. My plate's full. That's not a problem filling up the day. We're always involved in some kind of community event or some kind of charity, or the employees, they still like me around. They love me and I love them. And we've been slowing down for probably 30 months, and really 24, and then of course the last 9 or 10. I still have some say and some oversight with regards to the board, but it's a very good board, and it's a board that they have all the facts and have all the analytics. They do a good job, and so the day-to-day grind, I don't miss that at all, and haven't for some time. So my days are full, and I pretty well get to do what I want to do every day, and that's just a blessing. And it's a blessing. I just hate this for the people. I got to tell you, Terry. I mean, I just hate this for the community. I mean, this is just not good, and I'm sick about it. And I hate this for my employees and my small business owners. I mean, they just didn't deserve this. They deserve better out of the founder, and I let them down, and I'm not happy with myself. But thank you for having me.
Okay, John, I appreciate. Are you, I don't want to be indelicate here, but are you and Annette still going to continue giving money away? You obviously are in a terrific position financially. Are you still going to be philanthropists here locally, or are you pulling out of Louisville and moving elsewhere?
Well, not to turn the tables here, but why would you ask me that question?
It's a fair question, only in the upheaval that's gone on in this community. I just want to make sure that you feel like you're comfortable walking about, going to restaurants. You see what's happening to various elected people getting shouted down when they come out of places. Are you more comfortable somewhere else now, or is the heat too intense here locally?
No, I haven't. I haven't felt that at all. But you're looking at it of what we've done for the community, when really the fact is, look what the community's done for me. Look what the community's done for my family and for my Papa John's family. So, I mean, this is my home. I've been here for 57 years. Louisville and Southern Indiana are the genesis of which we built our company. So, no, I'm not going to stop giving to the community. That thought hasn't crossed my mind. We've got some things that are going to be shifted around because of some of the feelings going on, but I haven't heard. My wife and I have not talked about not giving back to Louisville, Kentucky. That thought hasn't crossed our conversation. Our only concern is that the players in the NFL and the players at Louisville and the students and the faculty all think that we condone racism, and we don't. And all you can do with that when you're painted in that corner is just walk the talk and apologize and make sure that you're even more careful than I've tried to be, because of the hurt that you can cause other people. And you can't be me from this community and do anything that's even whether it was taken out of context or not.
Really appreciate the time so much, John. We'll talk again down the road.
All right. Okay, Terry. Thank you.
Thank you.